All right, it's 6:01. Let's call this to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Carrie, would you mind doing a roll call for us, please?
Mr. Steinberg.
Here.
Sorry.
Starting off good.
Mrs. Rorich.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mr. Whittington.
Here.
Mayor Norton.
Here. Thank you, Carrie. Well, that's good. We're starting off real good. All right, so we're going to open for public comments. If anyone would like to come and speak on the public comment portion, you've got 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. Seeing no one's jumping up to get to the podium, huh? All right, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the agenda? All in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approval of meeting minutes from September 11th meeting, the September 18th meeting, and September 25th meeting. Would anyone like to have any edits, comments for any of those meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda tonight is the consent agenda. Want to point out we would be appointing Ben Metcalf as a fire reservist, so that's awesome. We're adding to our fire department. Thank you. Nothing else here that I saw. Is there anything else that you guys would like to pull out to discuss? All right, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on consent agenda? All right, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing. Yeah, it's on here, but we don't have a public hearing tonight, right?
There is no public hearing.
Okay, it's on here, but we will move on to presentations. I think we also have no presentations.
Yep, we just leave that as a placeholder
Okay.
on there.
You're freaking me out here. All right. Old business, we also have none. New business, we are going to hear from Olivia Adamabia. Did I get that correct?
Yep, you did.
All right, our community development coordinator, you are first up under new business. So if you'd like to present to us, we would love to hear it.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Olivia, and this is my first city council meeting, so should I make any mistakes, just pardon me. Okay, so before us is the 301-305 Parkway Avenue. So Mr. Mike Bales, a little background, he bought the parcel from the EDA, and so he wanted to construct an electrical shop on the 2 parcels. And before he can do that, there are 2 processes that he would have to choose one. One is going through the administrative process and for a zoning lot. And then the second one is he going through the lot consolidation process. Presently, the city code doesn't allow us to go through the zoning lot administrative process, so he had no choice than to go through the lot consolidation process. So the lot consolidation process is he looking at combining his 2 lots into 1 lot, like having just 1 parcel ID instead of 2 parcel IDs. And so he submitted the required materials from chapter 5 of the city code. Staff reviewed everything, and staff believes that he has met all the zoning requirements for a lot consolidation process. So tonight, staff is recommending that the city council approve the lot consolidation process put forward.
Thank you, and you did wonderfully. You're not nervous anymore now, right? All right. Council, do we have any questions, comments on the recommendations from Planning Commission?
So this is which lots again?
301 and 305.
And what addresses are those?
Parkway.
Parkway, okay. And this is for the Freedom Security Building? Okay.
just add one note. It is anticipated that as soon as this is approved, we will be receiving a building permit application shortly thereafter. I believe Mr. Bales would like to construct yet here in '23.
And that's in line with the extension that we gave to have preliminaries done, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I would move to approve the variance.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Just a correction, it's not a variance, it's a lot consolidation.
Yeah.
I'll second the
So
lot
that's a minor
consolidation.
subdivision.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on our agenda, developers agreement for Wangan subdivisions. Is this also yours, Olivia?
Yes.
Awesome.
Actually, sorry. Mayor and City Council, so on the agenda, there was both the 301 and 305 Parkway, so you took care of the first item of business. Second under that one is a Wangan subdivision preliminary and final plat before the developers agreement. So I'll turn it back over to our community development coordinator, Olivia, and she will review the Wangan subdivision preliminary and final plat.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and council members once more. So this case is also with regards to 100 Valley Lane, and the applicant is in the person of Mr. Scott Wangan. So in this case, the person has one lot and would want to split it into 3 separate lots and then an outlot. So the person is requesting approval from council members to split the lots into 3 different lots and then have an outlot too. Staff reviewed the application materials submitted by the applicant and then the owner of the property and found out that lot 3, the proposed lot 3, when the lot is being split into 3, does not meet the zoning code requirements. So lot 3 encroaches into the side yard setback requirements of the zoning code. The attention of this so this has been brought to the attention of the applicant and then the owner, and then they are seeking a legal nonconformity for lot 3. Me saying legal nonconformity means that they would want to have that structure that encroaches into the side yard setback there until they have development plans or improvement plans for that such structure. The Planning Commission reviewed this, and then we found it necessary to bring it to the attention of the City Council before any motion is being carried or any approval is being made for that. So, and the applicant has also indicated that they do not have any improvement plans for the 3 lots right now, and so they just want to have it subdivided and also have the outlot for the time being, and whenever they have an improvement plan, they will come to the city once more to go through the necessary processes. At this stage, if the applicant or the owner has something to say, maybe we would allow them to share what they have.
If you look at the thing, the drawing that you have, it's the building, it says existing building to be removed or relocated in lot number 3.
Okay, so lot 3 would then have the building removed, but then no improvements are planned for lot 3? It would just sit empty?
There's currently a structure on there, but the way we've worded it, and we'll get to on the next agenda item for the developers agreement, is it have to be removed or relocated because it's non-conforming at the present time.
I think this gentleman might have something to add to help clarify. Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Nate Mira, project manager at Bolton Inc.
Thank you.
Project manager for this project. When we brought this to the Planning Commission, what we're trying to do is divide the property into the 3 lots that we're proposing here, along with the outlot. The outlot is kind of an odd-shaped piece and potentially to be sold to an adjoining owner for their benefit. So the idea is if we're going to do the subdivision to kind of create 3 lots of city standard and then future build on those possibly. And right now there is no future plan for any construction on any of the 3 lots. But what we asked the Planning Commission is if the building that is encroaching currently could property, so there really isn't any defined plans yet for any of the lots. Just making this large lot be more suitable for additional parcels in the area. And it does have water service, public water service and sanitary service via the backyard of this property. A little other history on this property, it was all under one ownership at one time. And at that time, the city did extend sanitary sewer across the two properties, the kind of the northerly parcel that you guys have seen in the past for that townhome development to the north. And so the idea is all the lots do have connectability to public utilities, and they will be serviced at some time, but there is no plans currently. So at that time, like Olivia was indicating, we do plan to make each lot have public utilities, and we're providing easements on the final plat to allow that. So we're just asking the city council to allow for the legally non-conformity for now until any permits or improvements are planned on that parcel. And then the conformity will have to happen with either modifying the building or taking the building down. So I'm also here to answer any questions that you have on the plans.
Thank you, that helps clarify quite a bit. I'm trying to think of a good way to formulate my question. Does anyone have any other thoughts or comments while I'm piecing it together here?
Well, I mean, to me, it just seems like I don't see an issue with it. I mean, the look of it's not gonna change, nothing's gonna be added to it. You know, as it exists, when you look at it today, it won't matter. But like you said, once he wants to update those lots, then we'll see some upgrades to it. So my opinion is I don't see an issue with this.
I agree with Councilmember White about the lot changes on the property for such a time that there needs to be improvements to either of the lots, 1, 2, or 3. I think that that building would then be removed, like you said. I don't see a problem with changing that full lot into 3.
My question, these will be 3 single-family, rezoned single-family, right? Or
There are
multifamily?
R3.
R3s? Okay,
The consistent zone that's currently on the property.
okay.
Yep, and the adjoining property that was rezoned from industrial to R3 as well.
That would seem to fit in line with everything that's also in
Yeah.
the neighborhood down there.
Because there's gonna be, we've worked through a project behind it, right? That's the other project that was it 2 months ago? Yeah. So that's who you're trying to get the outlot to, so they can kind of square up their lot. I guess my question is since you don't have any plans on it, why would we move on that? I guess that's a naive question, I guess. Why would we go ahead and do the split until you're ready to do something?
We were just hoping to skip a step. All of
Okay.
the lots meter city code. So at such time, we would need to follow city code to build on those lots.
Okay.
So the thought was, is there's utilities there to be servicing those lots, and we would put the necessary hookups to those lots. Once there's a formal plan to know exactly what size is necessary. Currently, we just don't have those sizes, but,
Okay, thank you.
And this will kind of speed the process up too when you are ready, right? Instead of starting this when you want to start, this kind of gets you going right away and then you can just go when you want to. Yeah.
yeah, and the plating needed to happen to create the outlot to be able to be sold, so that's kind of why
Oh,
we're the 3 lot.
well, that makes sense, thank you.
When we were looking at the other proposed development, that would have been basically the back part of this lot, wouldn't it? Right, so my only question is, I know we had talked at that time that if that lot were ever to be developed, we would want to have a sidewalk or some other sort of access to go through there. Now, would this change be consistent with that? Would there be anything preventing it, or would that just come later? 'Cause I know we had talked about access at that point.
I guess at this time, we hadn't thought about that walkway access.
I think we can hash that out at a later time, but I just want to be mindful that if that development were to continue there or anything else, we don't want to have it dead-ended. So, all right, so if we want to, someone could certainly make a motion for the Wangan subdivision, Henry, and thank you very much for,
I'll make the motion to, turn that current section into 3 lots.
I'll second that motion.
thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we can go to number 2. I didn't miss anything else, did I? All right, now we'll go on to the developer's agreement for the Wangdon subdivision.
Just gonna grab this here, 1 second here, I just gotta get a different thing here.
Hi, if you would, please state your name for the record.
Scott Longa.
Thank you.
I just had a couple of questions on the developers agreement. I guess I'd like to just have my attorney review it. I know you guys just passed it, but do I have the right to do that part of it, to make sure before we sign it, coming up with the list of all the properties and all of that?
We actually haven't taken any action on the agreement,
No, what I mean, okay.
but is there time? I don't see why there wouldn't be time.
Absolutely, yep, prior to signing the developers, prior to signing the plat and recording it, we have to have an executed developer's agreement, so we've got time, and we could revisit this next month.
So I can just take this and bring
Yeah,
back notes?
if you're okay with that timeline, that's fine with us too. We can table, or the council can table taking any action until we hear back from your attorney,
Okay,
if you prefer to do that.
yeah, okay.
Does that work for you?
I think so.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here and available for questions.
Thanks, Olivia.
All right, so developers agreement for Wangdon, we don't need to actually take any formal?
Nope.
No, okay, thank you. All right, new business number 3, contract with Blue Earth County Sheriff's Office for law enforcement coverage. Administrator Bromeland, I will kick this one over to you unless you'd like me to take it.
Sounds good. All right, Mayor and City Council. A motion was made at the special city council meeting on September 25th, directing staff and the personnel committee to continue contract discussions with the Blue Earth County Sheriff's Office for law enforcement coverage. Since that time, a contract for law enforcement services by and between the County of Blue Earth, the Rich Sheriff's Office, and the City of Eagle Lake has been received. The contract has been reviewed by legal counsel with changes and comments made and sent back to Blue Earth County for their review. Included with the packet that was sent out on Friday is a draft contract that reflected the city's changes and comments since that time. Chief Deputy Jeremy Brennan, who's in the audience this evening from the Sheriff's Office, we've been able to correspond, and we have an updated agreement, which you received a hard copy at your council place this evening. And so I think we're ready to present that for your review and consideration. We can kind of walk through that in a minute. I just wanted to also include some of the information you received at the special meeting in the packet, in case anybody wants to refer to that. And then if you're interested this evening after discussion in moving this forward, we would just need a motion, and then it would go to the Blue Earth County Commissioners. They meet, I believe, next on October 10th, and the deadline for their packet is October 4th for inclusion. So I will pull up.
Thank you, Mr. Bromeland.
I put that.
I know we talked pretty in-depth about this at our special meeting. This is very much the topic of that evening. This contract has not significantly changed since the last review. There was just a couple of the edits that are highlighted, correct? Just more housekeeping items.
Yes, and there's a couple of them that are highlighted right now, like in section 5.6 for insurance, just adding, the county would add the city as an additional insured. And then under Article 7, it just more clearly defined the total number of hours that would be dedicated to police service in Eagle Lake. And then also clarified that the city would only be financially responsible for the hours fulfilled. And then also on the addendum, the last page, you will see the yearly cost with increases. And it kind of explains how the cost was arrived at and breaks that down. It's a 4-year contract. Can't be terminated during that 4-year period. After that, there's provision that either party can give the other one 180 days notice if there's, non-interest to renew. Otherwise, it would automatically renew for 2 years thereafter. And just to clarify again, this would give us up to 20 hours of coverage Monday through Friday, and then up to 12 hours of coverage on Saturdays and Sundays. There'd be a lieutenant and 2 deputies assigned to Eagle Lake. The squads would have serving Eagle Lake included on them. They would have access, and we'd hope that they would use our office space here in the police department.
Just gonna ask because somebody ought to. I'm sure it already has been asked, but any of our existing equipment, the squad, anything like that, can that be reused, purpose? I mean, other than just selling on min bid, is there any?
Yes, go for it.
Like I said, I'm sure somebody already asked, but
So we talked about that a little bit, Jennifer and I, and just to make it cleaner, instead of we're trading, you guys will have assets, we'll start at ground zero. I'm not saying we wouldn't buy stuff from you, but just to make it cleaner, you guys would sell it, we would buy it, if that's the way we wanna go. But until we can inspect it and know what's compatible with our stuff
Sure.
compared to your stuff, it's hard to say what we would want, So I think it's just cleaner, and we have people that could, purchase squad cars and stuff like that. So we will certainly work with the city and try to get you the best deal if that's the way it goes, or get you the best price, because we don't wanna put a price on it. We'll go to a vendor of some type and they can put a price on it, and then we can discuss it. That way it's just cleaner, so we're not muddying the waters with, you're giving us something, we're giving you something, then it's just a straight business deal. It'll be for sale and anybody could buy it, and you
yeah,
might be interested, but I just think that would be a cleaner way to go than try to trade stuff, so.
right.
And that was one of the things that we did talk about, was all of the assets and what do we do? And they did say they would help, along with Chief Cop, on getting it sold, getting it inventoried, getting all that done, so it doesn't fall on Jennifer or anything like that, or, following any of it. So they will help with any of that piece.
Yeah, I have to imagine we've got a little bit of stuff. Yeah. I know Minister Rumlin and I are planning on attending the county board meeting next Tuesday. In the event that we approve tonight, of course, then we'd be available for questions if they should have any. I don't want to pretend this isn't a huge and very heavy decision for us, but I think we've tried everything else, and this is the best option we have.
Yeah, I think moving forward with the county would be allowing us to have the desired service that we've wanted, and also continued, again, I always emphasize what Councilman White said, I think 3 months ago. We need to be looking about what our 20-year goals are too, and this could just be a continuous ongoing thing. Of course, depending on what happens in 4 years with the county, I mean, none of us know that, but even seeing my neighbor boy was outside playing basketball a couple weeks ago, and he had a kind of a little one of those sticker badges on his shirt, and I said, "Where did you get that?" And then the sheriff's deputy was out playing basketball with him, and it made his day. So I was really happy to see that, that they want to be a part of the community and help. So yeah,
Well, like I said before, you know, I wanna get away from having the same conversation year in and year out and have the same frustrations year in and year out. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, however you wanna look at it, but, this is the cleanest, easiest, stress-free way that aligns with our budget. So, I think all of us sitting here would love to have a police department full of 4 people, but it just unfortunately is not going to happen, especially in the near future. So again, like we've said before, over and over again, this is not us wanting to do this. This is us needing to do this, to keep our community safe. And that was, you know, our number one goal and really our only goal, so.
Any other council comments?
Yeah, I guess I just only have one issue. I think all the ones that I sent to Jennifer were taken care of, but on the item 6.1 term, item B, says we can't terminate for 4 years. And I don't see anywhere in the contract that we could terminate for cause. You know, I know that they'll live up to what they say they're gonna do, but, you know, it's always good to have something saying, or for them to come to us and say, you're not living up to your side as well. So just kind of, that's the only thing I see that I think puts us kind of in a little bit of a hole. Everything else I thought looked pretty good.
Mr. Roman, this has been reviewed by the city attorney yet, or are we waiting to do that once the county comes back with their reaction?
Nope, that's correct, Mayor and City Council. The city attorney has reviewed it, and also a risk management attorney with the League of Minnesota Cities. I did ask that question. That's a great question about the not being able to terminate for the first 4 years.
Other recourses in statute, since this is a municipality that I'm just not aware of, I guess. So.
He said the parties could always mutually agree to terminate the agreement at any time, but under the current terms, there'd be no way for either party to unilaterally terminate the agreement.
Yeah, I would not want it to be unilateral. I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, but
And then he goes on to say
Okay.
the parties could negotiate different termination
Okay.
provisions, so,
with them before we sign it, or at the time?
yeah,
just
I think before we,
before we sign it.
yeah.
I'd like to see some kind of mutual clause in there that if we're not doing what we say we're gonna do, or they're not doing what they say they're gonna do.
I
that
would
we can
agree
negotiate.
and build off of that, that if it were to be that we would work on a, you know, appropriate wind down period, I don't want it to be a, by the way, we're not coming tomorrow. Not that you would do that, but, you know,
Right.
that we have time to try to
I think
react.
you have both. You have the wind up and you have the wind down, right? You know, you're not gonna come January or February 1st, whenever this goes into place, and think that we're gonna have, potentially have 3 deputies on call,
Yeah.
or, you know, on staff.
And I agree, there's a wind down at the end of the term, that we have to give them at least a year, which I totally support, because there's people's lives attached to this, and there has to be some adjustment that has, you know, so that year, I thought was good. But it's just this, you know, it's just, if we decide to get a divorce, what's gonna happen, right? So,
Prenups are not a bad thing. All right, any other questions, comments? Anyone like to make any motions?
I'd make a motion that we move forward with some sort of provision for, you know, mutual termination for cause.
Would anyone like to second the motion to
second
add that?
it.
So that would be just to add to the contract.
Yeah, just a clause in there that we both,
Okay.
that both parties agree to, that if we just can't, you know, move forward, you know, that we both can get out.
Okay. Any further discussion on that specific motion? All in favor of adding the termination clause? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then on the contract as a whole, I believe tonight we would need to make, we need to approve a motion to approve the draft contract. And then the next step would then be to send it to Blue Earth County commissioners for their next meeting. We need to do that, make that decision before the 4th if we wanted it on their agenda for the 10th.
I'd make a motion to approve the draft agreement and send it to the county.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
The only thing I would say is if we can get on the agenda for the 10th, just to keep it moving,
Yeah.
I think that would be best case.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Well, I appreciate how quickly Blue Earth County has worked with us to get this done, especially Chief Deputy Brennan. He's just really helped move this forward. I appreciate all your help here.
All right. Next item on the agenda will be to schedule a public hearing for an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 3, Section 3.010, Subpart 4, Chapter 4, Section 4.200, and Chapter 10, Section 10.020.
It's a lot, isn't it?
I can't believe I just got through that without stumbling.
I can pull that up on the big screen too, since they're,
Thanks.
let's see, I'll
That's
pull
all
it
you
up.
get appropriate today, that's it.
Okay, I'll get this a little bit bigger so people can see it. All right, so Mayor and City Council, with your packet was a draft ordinance from Chris Kennedy, our city attorney. It was essentially repeal and replace Chapter 3, Section 3.010, Subpart 4, Chapter 4, Section 4.200, and Chapter 10, Section 10.020 of the Eagle Lake City Code related to police protection, duties of city officers, and law enforcement duties. If the city council wishes to move forward with a contract for law enforcement coverage, which you just indicated that you do, then the next step would be to schedule a public hearing to make the above described changes to city code, the sections that were referenced. So included, there were highlighted excerpts from city code showing the proposed changes, and I can scroll through here so you can see those. All right, so we've got section 3.010, public nuisances defined, excuse me. And then we'll go down to, let's see, subpart 4. Says duties of city officers. Police department shall enforce provisions of the ordinance relating to public nuisances. Such officers shall have the power to inspect private premises and take all reasonable precautions to prevent the commission and maintenance of public nuisances. Then we'll go on. We go to section 4.200, police duties. I won't read that word for word, but that's the highlighted portion is where we would be amending that section. And then under section 10.020, police protection. And then the pages right above that were the proposed changes by the city attorney. So basically at this point, we just need to schedule a public hearing, and that would take place at the November meeting. And then following that meeting, if those changes are approved, then it takes effect once published in the newspaper. And I would also ask that the city consider a summary publication, and to do that, we would need a 4/5 vote. That helps to save on publication costs.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion to schedule the public hearing for the next meeting on November 6th? Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
She needs to do the
4/5 vote.
Oh, yeah. Can we do a roll call, please, Carrie?
Mr. Steinberg,
Yes.
Mrs. Rorich,
yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Mayor Norton.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie. I think from now on, we're all gonna say, yes, just like Councilmember Steinberg.
I was thinking about how she's
I was gonna say here.
All right. Administrator Brumlin, does that satisfy everything we need on?
Yes, it does.
Number
Thank
4,
you.
thank you. All right, next item tonight, American Legion Post 617 revolving loan fund request. I'll turn this one over to you, thank you.
Mayor and City Council, the Eagle Lake American Legion Post 617 recently submitted a revolving loan fund request to the Eagle Lake Economic Development Authority to help offset construction costs needed with a needed ceiling repair project. The total cost of the project is estimated to be $65,500. The American Legion is seeking $15,000 in revolving loan fund monies. Orrin Johnson, first vice commander of the American Legion Post 617, attended the September 28th EDA meeting to present the revolving loan fund requests and answer questions of the EDA. The EDA ultimately recommends that the revolving loan fund requests be approved in the amount of $15,000 with a 5-year repayment term at 6% interest annually. Following approval this evening, legal counsel will be asked to draft a promissory note and other necessary legal documents prior to the loan funds being dispersed. And then in addition to the available revolving loan fund monies, the American Legion Post 617 will also be applying for available Small Cities Development Program income funds for another $15,000. A little bit about those funds. So they would be issued in the form of a deferred loan at 0% interest and forgiven after 10 years if the building is still owned by the Legion and the business is in operation. I would request that we work with Judge Schultz with Minnesota Valley Action Council to administer the Revolve Small Cities Development Program funds for the city of Eagle Lake. MVAC would bill for their work at $50 an hour, not to exceed $1,200 for the entire project. Revolved loan funds can be used to pay for administration costs. So basically, with the amount that we have got left, which is over $18,000, less than $1,200 would be applied to this project. In talking with MVAC, they recommend we just exhaust the funds, use them for this project. It's a good project for these funds. And the EDA also recommends that the Small Cities Development Program funds be used for this project and that we use MVAC for this purpose. So with that, we got a couple motions here. The first motion we would need would be to approve the EDA's recommendation to approve the revolving loan fund request from American Legion Post 617 in the amount of $15,000 with a repayment term of 5 years at 6% interest. Then the second motion would be to approve the EDA's recommendation to retain MVAC to administer issuance of the remaining Small Cities Development Program revolve loan funds for the American Legion's project, pending, of course, that the project meets all of their eligibility requirements. So overall, in summary, I think this is a really good project. We need the Legion. We need them to keep their doors open, and I think it's a good use of funding. So with that, I'll turn that over to the council for any discussion or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Brumland. Any questions, thoughts from council before somebody makes a motion? All right, well, I'll be looking for a motion, the first one, which is to approve the EDA's recommendation to approve the loan request.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Second motion, to approve the EDA's recommendation to retain MVAC to administer.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next on the agenda, Fire Department Rescue Rope Equipment Purchase. Looks like we have some representatives from the Fire Department here if we have questions. Are you gonna give us a demonstration of how this works or anything from? Darn it. All right, well.
So just real quick background, we had applied for a grant from Alliance Pipeline. We won that grant, I think it was earlier this year. I think the city has the money. We'd like to spend it now. So I think it was about $7,500. Rope equipment was around $7,000.
Does that
I'll make the
satisfy
motion
anyone's
to approve
curiosity?
the purchase with the grant money from Alliance Pipeline for the road.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, thank you, Mr. Talley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for being available in case we had questions or for a demonstration if necessary. All right. Next item is the sale of the Country Clipper mower. This is exciting. Public Works Director Andrew Hartman, I'm guessing you have an update about this. Or Mr. Brumland, would you like it? I know this mower's been a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, and it's finally gone, so we don't have to worry about it, so.
Did Brian buy it?
No. He bought one before, so he didn't have to worry about it. I think basically all that we're asking is that the funds for this go back in, to purchase, and then we're due to purchase a mower in 2024, so if we can, roll this over to kind of keep the funds and checks and balances a little bit better than they have been, maybe.
I think that's what we had discussed when we were looking at purchasing the other one, right? Was that any proceeds would go back in towards the next planned, yeah.
Yep, you guys totally have the discretion to do that. Typically when we do get revenues that come in general fund related expenses, we put it into the general fund to help offset our operating costs. But if there's a situation like this and you specifically want to, then we just ask for a specific motion, but either way is fine.
I'll make the motion to accept the min bid sale.
I'll second that motion.
Just to be specific, it would be to put the funds to Public Works budget specifically.
It would go into capital outlay for streets.
The
And I'll
sale's
amend-
already done.
Yeah, I'll amend that to what Jennifer said.
I'll second the amendment.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of moving the proceeds from the sale of the Country Clipper to the Public Works budget line item for the next replacement?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll
Thank
just
you.
give a little explanation if it's okay too. The reason we typically don't do that is because if the departments are appropriately planning for their capital outlay, we wouldn't need to be doing this. It just would go back in and offset our expenditures. But if they're behind and they need some additional funding in this situation, we're trying to kind of get them back up to speed. So that's why we typically, as a general practice, anything that's sold in the general fund generally goes into just general revenue.
Thank you. All right, next up, I am going to read a letter that I received from the League of Minnesota Cities, notifying us that Senator Nick Frentz was selected as a League of Minnesota's Legislator of Distinction for 2023. We're encouraged to share this news with the public, so that's what we will do here tonight. I won't read this entire letter, but I will focus on a couple of items that they specifically called out that were things that he really put a lot of time and effort into. So specifically, the League appreciates you authoring legislation to address public safety duty disability trends related to post-traumatic stress disorder, which is one of the League's 2023 legislative priorities. As Vice Chair of the Legislative Commission on Pensions and Retirement, Senator Frentz successfully led efforts to pass a robust omnibus pensions bill. As chair of the Senate Energy, Utilities, Environment, and Climate Committee, Senator Frentz stressed local government needs for financial and technical assistance in identifying and mitigating infrastructure vulnerabilities to climate change impacts and supporting local energy efficiency, greenhouse gas emission reduction, conservation, and renewable energy efforts. Senator Frentz also championed policy and resources that will directly assist cities in addressing infrastructure and climate resiliency needs, including the creation of a state competitiveness fund for energy-related grant programs at the federal level. The League appreciates Senator Frentz's awareness of city needs and looks forward to working with him in the future on issues impacting local units of government. I think we have the letter posted. It's part of our packet if anyone would like to read the entire thing. No formal actions necessary, but wanted to make sure we pass that along to everyone. Next item on the agenda is the Minnesota City's Mayor for a Day essay contest. Administrator Bromelin, would you like to explain what this one's for?
Yes. So again, this year, the League of Minnesota Cities is holding another Mayor for a Day essay contest. And this is open to 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. Basically, they have to answer the question, what would you do if you were a mayor for a day? And then they have a chance to win $100 and recognition in the Minnesota Cities magazine. The deadline this year is Monday, December 12th. And essays can be submitted online or through the mail. And then they'll notify winners in early January. In the past, the city has recognized local participants. We've tried to get some gift certificates to, like, I don't remember if it was the Eagle's Nest or maybe Eagle Express. So we could also try to recognize our local submissions that go in. And Mayor Norton will be sending a letter to the school and encouraging students to participate in this.
Can I just say in that letter too, if it would be at all helpful, I'd be happy to go over there. And
Absolutely.
tell them all the fun things we do here and invite them
I'm
to
sure
come
they would love that. I
participate.
will definitely extend that offer.
Okay.
If they have an assembly or something, they'd be willing to let you come in. They probably think that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So,
All right, so we don't need any formal action there
Nope.
either. No. And that will move us on to the city administrator report.
all right. Let's get this pulled up on the screen. Okay. So it looks like I got a lot on here, but I'll try to go through it pretty quickly. It won't take too long and be too painful, hopefully. Good news, we do have an applicant that's interested in working at the Eagle Lake site for the community forestry member position. We have an interview scheduled for tomorrow. And just want to remind everybody, there's no cost for us to participate in this, but I do have to provide supervision to the community forestry member, and then they help us with different forestry-related projects. And namely, the reason I was really interested in getting another forestry member back this year is to help us with EAB and ash trees. They're just a good person to go out in the community and work with residents when questions come up, and do other work as assigned. Next, wanted to let you know we did submit an application for a Relief Community Forestry Grant, and that was submitted to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources in the amount of $15,000. A couple of years ago, we had a $10,000 grant we got from the DNR to remove and replace up to 10 trees. And so that's basically the same type of a grant. It's just called something different this time. So we're hoping to get some more money and just keep up with that incremental removing and replacing of ash trees at the parks. And then next, small cities planning grants for stormwater, wastewater, and community resilience. With the help of ISG, who assists us with stormwater, we did submit a small communities planning grant to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. And the purpose of that was to try to increase our stormwater and community resilience in Eagle Lake. And our request totals $48,680. And then of note, one thing we did try to include in that, when we met with ISG to talk about things important to Eagle Lake, we talked about through this process, if we get funding, trying to identify a location for a compost site. And I think that would make a lot of residents happy, because we have, you have to go to Mankato to take your branches and leaves and all that. So that's part of the process for planning. So hopefully we'll get word on if we've been awarded funding and be able to work on that. Next, Park Pavilion project update. I think I emailed you all last week, but good news is it sounds like Andrew and I have been told that the project should be getting underway later this week. And as far as we know, the playground is going to stay open unless it's posted otherwise. Not exactly sure when the bathrooms will be closed, but it could be earlier than when the Public Works Department typically winterizes them. So we'll try to keep Facebook updated with any changes with that. And then this will be the second year we're in a row we're doing storm drain stenciling, and that's part of our MS4 program. So we have to do a public outreach, try to engage the community, do a little informational talk and then go out and do something in the community. So far, we've got 4 people from the community who've signed up. If you guys are interested or know anybody that wants to help, that would be great. And we may have some people that helped out last year that are unable to help on the 10th, and we've got buckets of supplies. They already know how to do it. They can take it and kind of do it on their own. So it's just really fun to get community members involved, and it's for a good project. So. And then next, the upcoming Blue Earth County Clerks and Mayors meeting, we will be hosting that here in Eagle Lake. And we're gonna have the meal catered, as we just talked about a few agenda items ago. The Legion is having some work done with their ceiling projects, so it's just more conducive to have it at City Hall here. In years past, we've had it at the Legion, so that's what we're gonna do this year. And we're gonna have some presenters. One will be Blue Earth County Deputy Administrator Josh Milo. He's gonna be talking about the opioid settlement and how those funds will be used. And then also presenting will be some representatives from the Greater Mankato Area United Way, and they're gonna talk about the Youth Mental Health Navigator Program. So thought should be a good presentation by those folks. Next up, House Capital Investment, bonding tour visit, and water treatment plant project. I had submitted a 2024 capital budget request to Minnesota Management and Budget for Eagle Lake's proposed water treatment project. And then just recently was notified that we've been included on their tour. They're not gonna come to Eagle Lake, but the cities that have been invited to be part of the tour, you just go and you get 10 minutes to speak at MSU. And so that's what I'll be presenting. I've done that in another city for a project and kind of familiar with how that works. But it'll only be about 10 minutes to be able to talk about our project, how much it costs, why we need it, and so forth, and hopefully be able to leave an impression with them so that they'll remember us and want to fund our project. Regency update, talked to Kim Stumney, the manager of Regency, and she said tear downs have started. They've got one down, and the last time I talked to her, it sounded like they were prepping for the second one. It might be down by now. But overall, she said, realistically, they're looking at 3 to 4 for 2023, and then keep moving forward in 2024. Try to get I think it was 11 in total we identified that need to come down. So I think we just continue to work with them, have a good working relationship, and it's good that they're making some progress. We'll I think just need to keep in contact with them and make sure that hasn't changed. And then some of you have asked about the temporary tower by the water tower for the Verizon equipment, and I just wanted to give a little update. So we are working with Verizon and our city engineer to work with them to be able to get that equipment back on the city's water tower so we can get that temporary tower removed. There's just some different things they need to submit to Bolton Inc. and plans that have to be reviewed by them. And just so you know too, we have, so there will be like third-party consultant fees, and we'll have to have Verizon. So we're trying to work out how we can get those paid for in advance so we don't have issues with, we're sitting on all these invoices, and so we've been going back and forth on that. So that's in progress. We're trying to get that done. And nothing will change with what they're putting on the tower right now. They said no upgrades, it'll be the same. And then when I was talking to Judge Schultz with MBAC about our current program income funds, I also saw there was some large amounts of funding that are being put into commercial and residential small cities. And in recent years, we've received some inquiries from residents, businesses asking if we're gonna have any funds like that available. And we did do a survey for residential recently, and we didn't qualify following that survey, but MBAC indicated that next year would be a good time to do that. So they're willing to work with us again. We'd have to do another survey, identify an area in town, whether it's commercial or residential, and try to get some more funding, because I think it's a really good program especially for businesses or homeowners that have no plan to sell or for the business to go out of operation, and it can be a really nice way for them to make some really good improvements to their home or business. So more information to come on that. And then lastly, just the expenditure and revenue report. Trying to keep this on here monthly. It's just year to date as of September 30th. If you guys have any questions anytime, always feel free to let me know. I can look up a line item and get you more expenditure detail. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brumland. And for everything always, but specifically on the House Capital Investment Bonding Tour, really pushing and getting that moving forward. I don't know what else we can be doing, but it seems like you're always doing all the things, so thank you. I know it's important.
I don't. Mayor Norton, if you're available and would like to accompany one on that, that would be great. If you're not, that's okay too. But I'll email you more information
That'd be
if
great.
you want to
Yeah,
come with me.
yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Yeah, but just to kind of follow off that, I really do feel like we're doing everything we can do right now. We are waiting for the scoring with manganese to hopefully score our application higher. We've submitted the applications to get funding. So I do feel like we're trying to do everything we can. We're just, it's a waiting game.
It is. Well, it's a good thing we have such a great Senator Frantz and Representative Frederick who are championing
Pulling for
these
us.
bills for us in the legislature. All right, council member reports. I'll just go down the line. Councilmember Rorich, anything for you? All right, Councilmember White? Nope. Councilmember Steinberg?
Nothing.
Councilmember Whittington?
Ditto.
You
Had to
guys
be
just
different.
talk too much. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could always come up with something.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of report to share. What I will say is that looking at the Mayor for a Day contest kind of got me thinking about something that, where my stepdaughter Lydia goes to school in 8th grade. They go down to the Capitol and the students are able to participate in a mock legislative hearing. They took a bill, this year they did a real, or not really, it was the no phone, the hands-free bill. And they actually got to argue it and fight it a little bit on their own. And I thought, how fun would that be for the elementary school? We could kind of scale it to maybe a 5th grade year. If we wanted to host something like that, I don't know if there's a contact at the school. I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know if they'd have fun in 5th grade. It might just seem really dull, but I'd be open to doing something fun like that just to get the kids more, like, what do we do here? And how does speaking up or getting involved maybe impact where you live? So I think the Minnesota Historical Society runs that program, so I could probably get some information, bring back, and just see if it's something anyone would be interested in doing. And just let the kids fight it out over something fun like spraying for mosquitoes or leaf collection. I don't know. Yeah.
Do we still do the tour for the elementary for voting?
Yes, Carrie runs that. I think she does a, like, what do you like better for recess, or what's your favorite food? I'll let Lee, or Carrie.
Yeah.
You know, so they get to vote on 3 different categories. They have not contacted me for this year yet, so I'm not sure what their plans are, but it has been going for several years.
Maybe a new principal.
Yeah, new principal, so you.
It was actually one of the 2nd grade teachers that would contact me, and I believe she's still there. So, and I can email her and see what their plans are.
Some of the teachers got shifted around too.
Okay, I will check.
Sections got canceled, eliminated. So there's turnover over there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be great to see continue. And I know we do have an upcoming election here on November 7th. So is there anything that changes in our schedules or what we're doing, like for setup the day before, that kind of thing? It's pretty...
With the council meeting, do you mean?
Yeah, no, I'm...
What I normally do when there's an election, it's
Yeah.
always the Tuesday after the council meeting. So I just typically have it set up Monday and just move the chairs forward.
Okay.
So, and then I usually ask council to help move furniture.
That was kind of my thought. Are you going to need some help? We can... I'll make... Okay. Okay. Well, great. That's all I had. Announcements. Fire Department open house. That's this Sunday, isn't it? Already? From 1 to 3 p.m. at the fire hall. Okay. Fall cleanup. October 21st from 8 a.m. to noon at Lake Eagle Park. Upcoming regular city council meeting, November 6th. next EDA meeting, October 26th, Park Board, October 12th, and Planning Commission on October 16th. And the most important one to me, which isn't on here, is leaf collection. I know it is posted, but when is it? Because our street's covered in leaves. Is it 16th? Everybody get your leaves ready. I'm so excited.
Everything's, all equipment's ready to go?
All right, oh, go ahead, sorry. Yeah. Well, it's funny, because some streets, it's like completely gone already, and then others haven't even started. Yeah. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of adjourning? Say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.